Hi, welcome to Petradot, and in this lesson we'll be learning Java operators. So I'll be using my IntelliJ IDE. You can use any editor of your choice. Right, so let's go ahead to create a new project. So I'll call this Java operators. Right, so and then go ahead to click create. All right, so our project is ready. So let's create our class inside our source folder, Java class operators demo. So we're naming our class operators demo. All right, so just like we have discussed before in our previous lessons, in in our in every project, every Java project, there must be an entry point. So here is our entry point, which is public static void main string args. Right, so let's now go ahead. Okay, what is Java operators? Operators in Java are special symbols that are used to perform operations on variables and values. So they are those special symbols that are used to perform operations on variables. And we have different types of operators, which include one, what am I doing? One, arithmetic operators. Then we have two, assignment operators. Then we have three, the comparison or logical or relational operators. Then we have the logical for logical operators. Then we have the ternary operators. 5 ternary operators. Then we have the 6 to be instance of okay, the spelling is correct, instance of operators. All right, so then the 7th and the last one is the bitwise operators. All right, these are the different types of operators that we have. So types of operators. So we are going to be starting from the first one, which is the arithmetic operators. Now, examples of these arithmetic operators include your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, then modulus, the increment, and the decrement. Yes, these are the arithmetic operators, and they are all used for what? Performing mathematical calculations. That is what the arithmetic operators are used for. So if you have any mathematical calculation you want to do inside your program, then these arithmetic operators are what will help you or you use to do them. Let's give an example. Say we declared a variable called an integer variable called num1, and we assign a value to it, say 12. Then we define another integer variable, call it num2, and we give it a value of say 15. Yes, so let's test run addition, subtraction. Okay, right, so let's create another variable to sum up these two numbers. In sum equals to num1 plus num2. Right, so let's try to print out this value. So system.out.println, the sum of num1 and num2 is equal to, so let's do a concatenation here, sum equal to sum. So let's try to run our program and see. So click on run. You can see that the sum 12 plus 15, that is 27. We have our results here. You can see that here. So the sum of num1 and num2 is equals to sum. So let's try subtraction. Say we want to print the difference between num1 and num2. Int difference is equal to num2 minus num1. Then let's print out the result. The difference of num1 and num2 is equal to, then the difference. Let's print and see. Let's run our program. Alright, you can see the result here. The difference of num1 and num2 is equal to 3. That is 15 minus 12. That is for subtraction. So let's try for that of multiplication. Say int multiplication is equals to num1 times num2. Let us print out the result and see, which is system.out.println. The multiplication of num1 and num2 is equals to this. So print out the value of our variable, which is collecting the multiplication of the two numbers. Let's run our program for this and see. And we can see the results here. Right, so the multiplication of num1 and num2 is equals to 120, which is same thing we printed here. That is for what we just tested: addition, subtraction, and multiplication. The same applies to division. So let me go straight. Let's try division so that I'll be able to use it to explain the modulus. Normally in maths we can do something like this. Say num2, int division is equals to num2 divided by 5. Let's get the value. Say system.out.println of num2 by 5 is equal to division. Let's check the results. We'll run our program again. So we can see that here. Division of num2 by 5, which is 15 divided by 5, is equal to 3, which is what we have here. Alright, so but now let us see that. Let's try to divide this by something like 2, since our number is 15. Alright, the num2 is 15. Let's try to divide with 2, which is not a factor of it. Right, so I'll see what the result will be. You can see that we have 7 here as a result. But is it really 7? There should be a fractional number somewhere. There should be a remainder, right? Actually, it should be 7 remainder 1. Yes, that is what is missing here. But then, even if we're not getting the remainder, isn't the result supposed to print a decimal value for us? That is another question. So, but what is happening here is because all our values here are in integer, right? And integers are whole numbers. So the format at which your result will come all depends on the type of variable, right? And our type of variable here is an integer. So if we truly want to take this, collect this as a decimal, then we should define this to be a double type of variable, not an integer. And because we are doing that too, we are supposed to cast this to a double. So what do we do? Let's just um, change the value num2 to a double type of variable, which is this. But then it's going to affect others, so let's change everything to double. Double, and this too. So let's now do our division. Let's print our run our program again to see what the result will look like. You can see now we'll have it as 7.5. 7.5 now. So, oh, what did we do here? Sorry, is divided by 2. The message was confusing, so I needed to change the message to be clear. So we can't say that the division of num2 by 5 is equal to no. Instead, it is by 2, right? Run the program again. Okay, now it's correct now. So, but then let's say we actually wanted to pick the remainder. So this example I did now was just for us to be able to get our result in a decimal value. So all you need to do is ensuring that your calculation result is stored in a variable of type double, and then all your numbers should be in a double format. It's always advisable to use that, except you know that every number that is going to come into that calculation is going to be a whole number. Then there will be no need for the double, right? Or you might not need it in fraction, then you stick to using an integer, right? So now let's change everything to integer to the way it is before. So I'll be able to explain the remainder. All right, so we're back to this again. So I bring back this to int. So it will slash off. This one will get the division and slash off the remainder and just give us only 7. But now I want to get the remainder. So if we want to get the remainder of a division, we'll use the modulus. That is work of the modulus. The modulus is used to get the remainder of a division. So for example, int modulo. So I've already named it for us. So let's go ahead with this. Modulus 2, right? So system.out.println. The modulo of num2 by 2 is what? Normally, the num2 divided by 2 will give us 7. But this time around, we'll be expecting the remainder as our result and not the actual division number. Alright, so let's run our program and see. You can see the modulo of num2 by 2 is equal to 1. So the remainder of 15 divided by 2 is actually 7 remainder 1. And that is why we are getting 1 here as our result here. And that is the work of modulo. So the modulo is used to what? To get the remainder of a division. Exactly. So now the next we have here under arithmetic operators is the increment and decrement operator. Yes. So the increment operator, the plus plus, is used to increment a value by 1, while the minus minus is used to decrement a value by 1. For example, our current value of num2 is actually 15, while that of num1 is 12. So let's increase num1 by 1 using the plus plus and decrement num2 using the minus minus. So we'll have something like this. Int new num1 is equals to plus plus num1, y int new num2 is equals to minus minus num2. So let us print our values and see. The new num1 is num1 equal to this, and new num2 is equals to num2. Alright, let's run our program and see what it's going to show. You can see it now. Our new num1 was incremented by 1, and that's why we're having 13 here. Why our new num2 was reduced by 1, and that is why we are having 14 here. And that is all about our arithmetic operators. So now let's talk about assignment operators. So let me give a separator here so that we know that we are done with the first one. So now, assignment operators. What are assignment operators? Assignment operators are used to assign a new variable, a new value to a variable. So for example, and we have two types of assignment operators. One is a simple assignment, which is an equal sign, and the second one is a compound assignment, which includes the plus equal to, the minus equal to, the multiplication equal to, the divide equal to, and the modulus equal to. First, let me comment this so that we know that all these places is done. Let's comment all this code. All right. So we can now continue with just only the assignment operator so that our output will be clean with just this. All right. So the the simple assignment is just used to assign a value to a variable, just like we said in the definition. All right. So for example, here you have been hearing me say we create an integer num, and we call it, and we assigned 12 to it, and create num2 and assigned 15 to it. So what it does is that this equal sign here is used to assign this 12 to this num1, and this equal sign here is used to assign 15 to num2, and that is exactly what simple assignment operator does, which is just the equal sign. All right, so that is an example of simple assignment operator. So while compound assignment is used to update a variable and assign its value to it at the same line. For example, let's say I want to update my, let me just copy it now so that it will be easy to access. Let me bring it down instead. Let's say I have these two variables here, num1 equals to 12 and num2 is equal to 15. So right now I want to update 12. I want to add 3 to num1 and update it in the same line using the compound assignment operator. So something like num1 is equal to num1 plus 3. At this point, I'm still using a normal way to update num1. But if I'm to use the compound operator, I am going to do something like this. Let's comment this. Here where we have num1 plus equal to 3. And we close the statement. So this particular statement we made now is same as what we wrote here. Same as this, which is num1 is equal to num1 plus 3. This is exactly what it means. So if you try to print out this value now, Control X, num1 is equal to, then if you try to print out num1, it no more be 12, it will now be 12 plus 3, which is 15, right? So let's run our program and see. You see, our value here is 15 because we added 3 to it, right? So let's try another one, which is subtract equal to. let's say I want to minus 4 plus num2. I can do something like this: num2 minus equal to, minus equal to 4. And this is same thing as saying num2 is equal to num2 minus 4, which is supposed to give us 11. So let's print our result and see. So num2, let's print out our results. You can see it, we have 11 as our result. All right, so let's try the same thing. Applies to multiplication and division. So let's try now modulus as the last example for this. So let's say we want to divide the value of num2, which is now 11, by 2, right? So we have num2 modulus equals to 2, which is same thing as saying num2 is equal to num2 modulus 2. This is same thing as that statement. So let's print what we have and see. Num2 modulo is equal to modulo by 2, yeah, is equal to, let's run, 1, right? So dividing this num2, which is 11, and getting the remainder when you divide by 2 is going to give you equal to 1. So that is all about assignment operators. So we have the simple assignment and the compound assignment. So in our next video, we'll continue with the rest of the operators. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.